Hello, this is Claire from Mellowing Arts, and today we are going to be talking about the different finishes when you're working on a project, how they look different, how they enhance the papers in different ways, what they all look like. So I've done all the legwork, and you can decide what sorts of things you like to do and what you don't. So first up is, this is the tag that I would say would be my beginner tag, what I used to do when I first started, a bit of layering, a nice focal point, a little bit of words, um, nice bit of lace on the top. Absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. And yeah, that's really, the start of the journey, shall we say. And the next step of my journey was the inks. I remember when I first discovered inks, I was watching some tutorials and I was like, wow, I need to do that. It's just nice, isn't it? It just finishes it off really lovely, vintages it up, and you can see the comparison there, the side by side. Just adds a little something, doesn't it? And next step up was to get a bit more thorough with the inking. So as you can see on the accents, I've added ink as well as the layers of the paper. It brings, even when papers clash, when you add ink to the edges, it just brings it together. And here you can see a comparison, just that little bit extra time. And it just kind of throws it all in and really makes it look nice. Different colour inks. So we have the walnut stain, which is a Tim Holtz ink that I have, and then on the right hand side we have black, which is my fave. I love using the black, to be honest with you, and a couple of other colours just to see the contrast and how different a project can be depending on the inks that you use. So we've got the blue and the raspberry. They all just have their place depending on the project that you're doing. You might have a coloured theme or something, not have matching papers, chuck the ink on the edges. It will all go, I promise. Just do it, have faith. And another love of mine is the distresser. This is my small distressing tool. My large one is the Cricut one, and I need a new one, and I can't find them anywhere. So if anyone knows where you can get them from, please let me know. It seems they've stopped selling them. I don't know why. But anyway, back to the video. You can see here with the distresser, it adds dimension to the paper. I'm trying to compare them. Hopefully you can see that nice and clearly. It just, I don't know. How do you put it into words? Hopefully you can see. You can see what it does. That's the hope anyway. So right, I'm going to show you now where I would go with it if I were going to make an all singing, all dancing version of these guys, combining all of the techniques. And yeah, I'm going to show you. I'm going to be using the papers, or the papers have come from my 8x8 pad. It's all designs that have been put together by us in-house. We print our books ourselves and we put them together as well and bind them. Well, I say bind them, but actually we've changed our mind on the design of that because the papers, it was just a bit higgledy-piggledy with the gluing of the spines and things, and you just couldn't guarantee that it was going to be right every time. Because they're packaged so well, because we have the covers, we've decided that actually they're going to sit inside the covers and we're not going to glue them together, just to save those rippages and any damages. So just giving you a little flash of the 8x8 there. That's the blue one that we have. I've pre-cut the bits and bobs that we need. So we will glue and cut this now. It's always good as well just to use the thicker paper for the tag. It just keeps it rigid. Papers love to curl, especially when you're using wet glue. Hopefully I can give you some tips along the way. Just keep it sparse. Bare minimum, honestly. If you've got a brush, even better. Just spreads it out. I'm lazy and use my finger, but I wouldn't recommend that. So we'll just glue these bits together. I use PVA. It's cheap and cheerful. If you can nail the amount of PVA and not make it too wet, it really is. It's personal preference though, isn't it? I know some people really shout about some of the other glues out there, and honestly I've never tried, so I can't have an opinion. We'll just get those corners trimmed. Just going to go down the edge as well, I think. Just a bit too much white there. And now we're going to find our inks. So I'm going to go with my Old Faithful black. I'm using my little Dauber today, just that's my black. I do use the sponges as well. Here I've got my green, which I use with the Tim Holtz green. I've got loads of different Ranger small inks. That's the green one. And I use the Memento inks sometimes as well. I've got these large ones, Hero Arts. They're quite nice actually. The colours are really vivid. I don't use colours all the time. Not very much at all, to be fair, actually. There's another memento one that I use, and I just whack the dauber in and then transfer the ink onto the papers. So I'm just going to go around now, ink all those edges. I did think about distressing the actual tag as well, but I'm not going to this time. I'm just going to add all of the details distressed instead. It certainly does take a pretty minute or two to do this inking, but as you can see, it just covers all of the imperfections. Yeah, I suppose that's the best way of putting it. They can't see your mistakes if you do it. That's all the sides done. So have a little think about what we're going to do next. So we want to think about our layering now. I think we're going to start with the back. This is just a collection of papers that I've accumulated. Some of it's naturally dyed, some of it's tea stained. It's just offcuts basically, but they come in really handy for projects like this. So I'll just grab a few and we'll compare and have a think about what we want. I do take a bit of time to make my decisions, but we get there in the end. Right, so we're going to roll with this one. I think let's do it. Let's get these out of the way. And I'm just going to eyeball it slightly, just figure out where I want it to sit. I want it just to be quite a thin border. But we are going to mount this tea-stained paper as well. Love this paper. Pull that out, hopefully we can use that. So just a quick reminder of the size of the tag. And we're pretty much going to cover the whole of that side with this paper, save like a nice little border around the edge. You'll see what I mean in a sec. Yep, I think that looks good. So we're going to go with this now. Basically what I'm doing is I'm giving it about a 5mm border, I suppose. Perhaps a little bit smaller, to be fair. So we're just going to fiddle around now, see what looks best. I do like it this way, actually. So maybe, what does it look like? Let's have a look. Yeah, we're going to go with this, definitely. So we just need to get it all trimmed down now. And I'm going to speed this part up now. I don't think you need me to break this next bit down. I'm sure it's very self-explanatory, so I will see you on the other side. So when we put it together, obviously we need to punch a hole at the top as well, so we have to bear that in mind when we're putting it. You can see ours is going to be quite a bit lower than the other tag. So we just prep all the edges now. As you can see, I'm inking way ahead of myself. I should be distressing first, but actually I realised it's not too bad if you do it the other way around. The distresser just, it still works. It's just the other way around. And hopefully it's nice and clear on the screen there, just showing you what it looks like when you do it. You can see I'm a big advocate for distressing. Do it, do it. And I just tear up these extra layers just that little bit more. Again, it just ages it, makes it look like it's been battered around a little bit and handled by lots of people. I love that look, like new but not. So I'm just going to go through and distress everything now. We'll just ink our edges. And when we're happy, go on to the next bit. So I want to introduce you to some of my doilies. and I'm going to use them as a stencil on this one. It just adds a nice effect to that plain paper, and it's still, it's not dark enough that it prevents you from writing. You can just write straight over it. I'll just grab something to lean on and we will stencil away. Just using my dauber, make sure it doesn't move, and just give a nice little dusting, and it gives this lovely little effect. I'm happy with that now, I think, so we're going to give it a glue together and then we can move on to the front. So, like I said earlier about using the fingers, always with tea stain paper I use my fingers and spread it really, really finely because it's already crinkled enough. So we don't want to encourage any more. We just want that nice little effect on there. And there we go. I think I'm happy with that for now. So we're going to move over to our front now. So just have a little play, think about the layers again. Going to trim some papers down and see what the different colours look like. I don't think that these two are particularly going to work together, so I might think about just another background colour. I need a good contrasting colour. So we've got our wallpaper there, which we'll sideline just for the moment, but we're going to go with the light blue, I think. So we'll just layer them up again now. Does it work this time? Yeah, let's do it. Why not? So trim it down again. We just want a real slim border. I hope really when it all comes together, you'll see why. I'm not very good with getting my words together today. So we're just going to prep now our focal point, which is the flower in the frame, and we're going to border this as well. Before we stick it down to the border paper, we need to distress all of the edges, as you can see I'm doing here with the scissors. I use the scissors to distress because it's just easier with the finer parts to it. So just give it a little link as well. And then we're just going to pop that over to the side just for a mo, just so it can dry out before we cut it. Because sometimes when you're sort of cutting and holding it tight, sometimes it can make the papers slip. So we're going to use the big pre-cut distresser this time because I really want to beat up those edges. I love it when it rips like this. I'm not the greatest at faking those cuts, so it's nice when it happens because I love them. They look really good. I love a bit of tally paper. So just ink around these edges, and then we need to think about placement, but we need to put this hole in. And the other side, we're going to obviously have to make sure that it lines up with the papers. I'll show you just in a second. We'll just whack this on. This is obviously the backing paper, but then we want to use the other side as a guide. So we're going to get our ruler now, and we're going to just get a rough middle point. So just line it up there, and then eyeball it. And now we just know where to avoid on the other side when we lay our pieces down. So they're going to need trimming now, which is fine. Just trim them down so they fit nicely. Redistress the edges. Just give them another little once over. It is messy though, distressing, I will warn you. Just end up with little beads of paper absolutely everywhere. It's a bit like sand. I never put too much glue again. Not even too close to the edges, because if you leave the edges bare of glue on this type of thing, when you're distressing and you want to give it that dimension, what it does is it kind of makes the edges not settle as much. So they pop out a bit. Yeah, I think that's the right way of explaining it. They pop out a bit. So we just get that next layer on. And then pretty much to the decoration, I think. Woohoo! So fussy cut this quickly. Perfect. Actually, it doesn't need to be perfect at all because as you can see now, I'm just going to come along and distress the edges anyway. So it really doesn't need to be perfect. Just roughly around the edges is absolutely fine. And then let the scissors do their magic. So that's that next bit done. So onto our words. So same thing, distress them up, give them an ink. And I think really we need a border here as well because where we've added the blue to the frame, it's only fair that we give a nice bold blue background to the words as well. Otherwise it's just going to look uneven and the words aren't going to pop as much as the focal point or the frame. So we just add this on and then we are done on this part. So let's just lay it out, make sure we're happy. And then we can think about how we're going to glue them on. Probably we're going to use these foam sponges that I've just moved into shot. Giving them that extra height with the foam sponges just makes them pop that bit. But we'll decide that in a minute. We're going to make sure we get these holes reinforced. So back to our paper pad. And we'll go with this one. So we're just going to punch a couple of holes. And then we're going to get our 5/8 circle punch. And we're just going to make a couple of little hole reinforcers there. So I quite like the white as well. So we'll just try out both ways. That does look cool. I do like it. Yes. But we need to check the other side as well. So we'll see. We'll see. And then the other one. You just get that glued on. And then for our main event, I decided at the last minute just to glue this one on because I want the frame to stick out at that little bit further, I think. Then add the sponges and here we go. So just make sure that's nice and secure on there and then we're going to attack our lace. I always use multiple laces. Unless it's of course, if you're doing something that requires really thin stuff, then obviously don't go bonkers and layer it up like I have. But if you've got a bit of room, or this is, one of the main ones to go on the front cover or to put inside like a sizable gap, then yeah, do it. Why not? I highly recommend it. So we're just going to fiddle around with them so they're all lined up and I'm going to use this other piece just to tie a lovely knot. And if I can do it, I'm going to add a bow as well, but they are quite short, so we'll see. I'm going to have to be really gentle and give it a good tease. And there we go. So we'll just grab the other one to give you the comparison. And that is us finished. So thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.